Can't sleep, so I want to tell you who's keeping me up at night. So, you know when you're a kid and you get your report card and it just ruins your fucking life? You know what I mean? Like I'm an only child, but not an only child where like my parents like were overbearing, but more the type that they never went to the PTA meetings, you know what I mean? Both because I hid them, but also because they don't want to go. You know what I mean? They got the emails. Anyways, they got the report card before I could get my hands on it and change it and fix it. So they looked at it and they were like, why do you have a B in fucking history, bro? Like, what's going on? So they were like, when's the next PTA meeting? I was like, this weekend. They were like, oh, why didn't you tell us? They cancel everything and they're like, we're fucking going. We go in, we sit down. Okay, just to give you a reference, like my school, British school in the middle of Saudi Arabia, I was like one of like 6 Arab kids. Everyone else was white. Anyways, not white, but like British, which to me is white. Like they're not necessarily white in skin color, but in mentality. Did you get what I mean? Anyways, so I'm sorry. Anyway, basically, I sit down and there's like the history teacher we're gonna call Mr. Smith, right? Mr. Smith sits down, not even 5 fucking seconds. Like I'm sitting in between like my parents, right? And like I'm already like shitting it, right? And he looks at me and he's just like, "Yo, son," and he has an Irish accent, but I'm gonna go with a British accent. But he just like had a very thick Irish accent. And out of nowhere, he just goes, the second we sit down, "Yo, son, do you know what he just did? He submitted his final piece of coursework. And do you know what? Not a single piece of punctuation. And he got a B, but not a single piece of punctuation. Do you know if he put a comma in there? Or just a full stop? Do you know what would have happened? He could have gotten an A. But no, he just comes into class, sits down. Emily, what's the homework? Did you do the homework? Okay, babe, did you do the... And then he goes up to me and he's just like, oh, I forgot my homework at home. My mum's going to drop it off after lunch. And then he sits throughout all of lunch like, I can see you just doing your homework. And then he just like basically like rats me out for a good like 30 minutes, you know? And I'm like shitting bricks at this point. Like genuinely at this point, I was like, I'm never going to see the light of day. Like ever fucking again. My parents are going to ground me and beat my ass. Like 100%. And then my dad literally looks at me and I was just like, oh shit, he's mumbling in Arabic. I was like, I'm already screwed. He looks at me and he's just like, what did you just say? I fucking switched up. I was like, no, the fuck. He does not understand the Irish accent. I looked at both of my parents. I was like, oh, he just said that ever since I came from an Arab school, I'm doing great. You know, I just need to up my punctuation a little bit. I could have gotten an A on this one if I just didn't do, what I was doing. I just need to, be better at punctuation. Other than that, I'm fine. My parents both looked at me slightly, so, they still don't know this. If you're watching, I'm so sorry for lying about that. But, like, they both looked at me and they were like, didn't trust me all the way, but they were like, okay. And then they look at him and they're like, thank you for your honesty. Oh my God, he never asked me anything about that ever again. I just lied and said I was grounded.